All right, today we're going to unpack a really fascinating strategic puzzle that's playing out in the Middle East. We're talking about Iran's strategy and how it's fighting a war that goes way, way beyond the physical battlefield.
So let's just quickly set the scene. On April 1st, Israel hits an Iranian embassy. Fast forward to April 13th, and Iran fires back with this massive wave of over 300 drones and missiles. But then, the very next day, Israel and its allies come out and say, yeah, we shot down 99% of them. On the surface, that looks like a complete and utter failure for Iran, right? But what if it wasn't?
And that's really the core question we're tackling here. How on earth could an attack that was so completely ineffective, with almost nothing getting through, actually be a stroke of genius? Well, the answer lies in looking at conflict in a totally different way.
To really get what's going on, you have to open up their playbook. And that playbook is called asymmetrical warfare. It's a strategy where you basically take the conventional rulebook of war and just toss it right out the window. So what is asymmetrical warfare, really? It's pretty simple, actually. It's when you're the weaker side, so you don't even try to match your opponent's strength. You're not going to fight their tanks with your tanks. Instead, you change the entire game. You dodge their strengths, you find their hidden weaknesses, and you exploit them in ways they just don't see coming. Okay, here's a great way to think about it. Symmetrical warfare, that's a straight-up fight. Let's say a guy named Jack has a machine gun and body armor. You've got nothing. He wins every single time. But in asymmetrical warfare, you're not going to fight him in an open field. No way. You lure him into a dark forest that you know like the back of your hand. Suddenly, all his heavy armor and tech, it's a burden. You use traps, you use your knowledge of the terrain, and you win. You've completely changed the rules of engagement.
And look, this is not just some abstract theory. There's an incredible real-world example that shows just how devastating this playbook can be. It really gives us the anatomy of what you could call a successful failure.
Let's go back to 2002. The US military ran this huge, super expensive war game called the Millennium Challenge. The scenario, a US invasion of Iran. So you've got the most powerful, most technologically advanced military in history on one side and a much weaker nation on the other. You'd think the outcome would be a foregone conclusion.
But it was anything but. The commander playing Iran used classic asymmetrical tactics. He launched a swarm of cheap, low-tech speedboats on suicide missions that just completely overwhelmed the high-tech defenses of a billion-dollar American aircraft carrier. In this simulation, the weaker side didn't just win, they absolutely crushed the US Navy.
Now, here's the kicker. The US response was, well, it was really telling. Instead of learning from it, they just hit the reset button. They reran the simulation, but this time they told the other side that using those asymmetrical tactics was, and I quote, cheating. And then they declared themselves the winner. This just perfectly captures the fatal flaw of so many powerful empires, pure hubris. The idea that if someone beats you by not playing by your rules, they must be cheating.
Okay, so with that history in mind, let's bring it back to today. Let's look at Iran's recent attack, Operation True Promise, through this exact same asymmetrical lens.
And when you do that, the economic picture is just staggering. Iran's attack is estimated to have cost them around $30 million. But the cost for Israel and its allies to defend against it, over $1 billion. Think about that. Iran forced its enemies to spend more than 30 times what it spent. From a purely economic warfare perspective, if that's not a failure, that's a huge win.
But this goes so much deeper than just money. This one attack was carefully designed to hit multiple targets, all part of a much bigger grand strategy. Let's call it Iran's four-point strategy matrix.
See, in this framework, every major action they take has to check these 4 boxes. First, unite their own people. Second, shore up their alliances. Third, win in the court of global opinion. And fourth, weaken the enemy. And believe it or not, that April 13th attack was a masterclass in hitting all 4 at once.
First up, uniting the population. After getting hit by Israel, Iran had to show its own people that it wasn't just going to take it. This massive launch was a powerful signal of strength, designed to boost morale and rally support at home. It said, we can and we will hit back.
Second, building alliances. This attack sent a very clear message to Iran's partners. Everyone from regional groups like Hezbollah to big global players like Russia and China. The message was simple. We are a serious partner. We are willing and able to fight. That's how you build credibility on the world stage.
Now, number 3 is so important, winning global opinion. By launching an attack that was almost guaranteed to be intercepted, causing very little actual damage, Iran could frame the whole thing as a measured and responsible reaction. They could say, look, they hit our embassy, which is illegal, and we just responded proportionally. And at a time when Israel is facing so much global criticism, this PR move made Iran look like the more restrained actor.
And finally, weakening the enemy. Israel's standard operating procedure is usually massive retaliation. But this time, the U.S. jumped in and put the brakes on, telling Israel to stand down to avoid a bigger war. That created very public friction between Israel and its #1 ally, the United States. For Iran, driving a wedge between its enemies is a massive strategic victory.
So, what's the big takeaway here? It's that we have to look past the explosions and the missile interceptions to see where the real war is being fought. It's a war beyond the physical battlefield.
Because in this new asymmetrical playbook, winning has nothing to do with how many tanks you destroy. Victory is measured differently. Did you drain your enemy's treasury? Did you make your own alliances stronger? Did you win the story? Did you control the narrative? By those metrics, an attack with a 99% failure rate can actually be a 100% strategic success.
And that really leaves us with a final, pretty heavy question to think about. As warfare keeps shifting from battlefields to balance sheets, from military campaigns to media campaigns, we really have to ask ourselves, in this new world of asymmetrical conflict, what does it even mean to win anymore?